we're going to break it down because for the people in the back, we're going to break it down into some real clear steps today, which I think will probably be in a bit more detail than most people go into. And I want to do that for the Hey Success Junkie, because for the vast majority of the time out there, we get caught up and stuck in doing things in a basic way, in a way which isn't the best. A lot of the things, to be completely frank, that people are using are outdated at best. And what we need to do is really get streamlined off of what are we trying to do, what are we trying to achieve, what the big problems are going to be for people, and how they can really go off and get that to a better stage. So we're going to do that in a way where we're going to break down what we got on my notes today. I'm actually taking notes on this stuff, right? The reason being, hey, LinkedIn, hey, Facebook, hey, YouTube, all right, Insta. We're literally going live in about 2 minutes with human behavior. And we're talking today about objections. And what we're going to do is break down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 25 of the key parts of objections that a lot of people are getting wrong. And a lot of people are trying to do in the right way. And they're just not hitting the notes. They're just not getting the good conversion. They're just not getting the right results. And whenever I sit down and go through this with the one-on-one side, the group trainings that we do, there's a lot of people that go, yeah, never thought it that way. Been in sales 10 years, always looked at it this way, but actually it's that. And we've got to realize that these things all need to happen. We have to realize that as our clients evolve, we have to evolve too. It's quite simple. Hey, Alessandro. Hey, Shaquille. Hey, Cook for Breakfast with me. Hey, Bites and Bits and Bites. Hey, Diz Learner. Hey, Success Junkie. Right. You lot that are on LinkedIn, Facebook, and all that jazz. I can't see how many of you are at the moment, but welcome, welcome, welcome. So the reason we do this 9 o'clock on a Monday is we want to get you fired up and ready to go. So we go into this week with a bit more of the old gusto, a little bit more determination, a little bit more hacks, a few more talents, a few more tricks, a few more tips, a few more general things that are going to get you moving forward within the business to the next possible stage. Because wherever we are now, right, everyone that I know, we're looking to go from where we are now to a better level. There's no staying the same. That's just a fact. There is no staying the same. Even if we go down on the absolute micro level, we're either moving forward or we're moving back. So if you're today taking your day as you want to take it, I want you to think about this. Are you moving forward or back? Hey, Jan, how are you? I'm very well, thank you very much. Multi-streaming confuses the life out of me.
I don't know how you do it. I don't even dare to try. At best, I just use the replay, function whenever I can, and then I just basically then try to ask people to edit it for me. I don't know how you do it.
Do you know it's interesting? I think we might.
Confusing.
Maybe we'll do a room on it, because I found my first 2 times doing this confusing. But right now, hi Instagram. So we're on Instagram Live. We're on StreamYard, and then StreamYard's got free. So as we sit at the moment, we've got Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube that are all on there, and then Clubhouse. So it's free devices, but it is a little bit confusing. But I also think that the impact's really strong. I get a lot of DMs come through for my Instagram stuff. Like for doing a live, we get probably 5 or 6, which again is great. LinkedIn, we get a lot of companies that engage. Hi, everyone coming in. And overall, because you can save it through StreamYard, it means we can edit it out for the actual platform and tailor that content as well. So it's definitely worth doing. It's definitely worth doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we should do a room on it. I know that Rob Moore would do it any other way. And I kind of almost think that if you can do like a video one and just show us like what you're clicking and things like that, people would find it really useful. And the other thing that people would really find useful,
hang around LinkedIn, hang around Insta. We're literally going to jump into training in about 2-3 minutes.
Investments or recurring income rooms, people always end up messaging me asking about how to do automation. So I kind of feel like maybe we can bring back that subject next week, or one of the following weeks. That could kind of be a recurring theme that we can do out of this club. Seems that a lot of people want to know more about automation. So yeah, see how you think.
Yeah, 100%. The plan's going to be, hi everyone who's coming in, by the way. The plan's going to be, me and Jan have been talking about this, is we're going to make sure that we're turning up every week to deliver real pinpoint, precise trainings with the actual steps and processes that you guys can use within your business that can take it to that next stage, because we're all trying to move forward, right? No one here today is going, I want to stay the same or get worse. But for us to get to that next stage, we've got to take that new action. We've got to go to that next place. And it's going to take new information, new understanding, new lessons, new ideas. And that's really the plan, right, Jan?
Yeah, absolutely. And we want to be practical. So, maybe in a lot of rooms that, where you hear us talk about various subjects and, you want to know like how exactly do we do it, then, let us know you're interested in a room like this. And then basically we will use this room, on a weekly basis to basically give practical examples and show people kind of almost hand-holding, how to do the various things that we're advocating. So that's basically the intention behind the room. Maybe I'll do a quick room reset before we get started. I really think today's topic is amazing because, as everyone knows, I trade. So I kind of feel like how we view objection, how we handle objection, objection from, other traders, other funds, and also the market in general, how we handle it can really change the trading results for sure as well. So I'm really looking forward to it. Maybe quick room reset. Welcome everyone to today's discussion.
Right, so just doing a little rooms reset on Clubhouse.
So this room, obviously,
if you don't use Clubhouse, audio drop-in app, there's 146 people that are on in this room. So these are typically entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, business owners. And what we're doing is multi-streaming with you guys on here so we can impact a higher level. Anyone who wants this, go to closedealstoday.com for an additional training on top of this that'll help you get up to that next level of what you're going to do.
Enjoy this conversation. Don't forget to give myself and David, the sales angel, a follow, as well as any speakers that we're going to be bringing onto the stage later on, so that we can pin you into similar conversations that we host in the future. I would also love for you to click on the sign in the top left corner of your screen. It looks like a recycle sign with like curvy arrows. So share this room onto your hallway, and so that more people can come and join. And also, we are
about 20 seconds. We're going to be in.
Obviously, depends on the
get a little pen and paper. Get yourself a little bottle of water.
To cut rooms short.
And then we're going to break this bad boys down.
So we do welcome questions. So if you
So
have questions to ask, want to come up,
we're going to do a little Q&A at the end of this as well.
Let us know. One is you can either message me on my Instagram. Remember to give me a follow first so that your message does not end up lost in some kind of, wrong folder, or you can use that share button that I just talked about. You can put your question as your share, and then so that makes it super easy for David and myself to basically check them via the room insight function. So, and please do not use the Clubhouse back channel. Whenever I click on it, I always get stuck in there forever because I don't check them very often. So please don't use that to communicate. Use the two channels.
So now it's 165 people. Which is good, right? It's part of this. What are you doing today?
Over to you, David, to open up, the room with, why you feel such a subject is important, and maybe, you could start giving us, some of the top ways to handle objection, and then, we can maybe bring some people up for questions and we can interact. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Jan. Yeah, Jan's going to deal with the whole steroid side. I'm going to talk to you guys about this. As Jan says quite rightly, we're going to do some great Q&As today. So if there's questions you've got, pinpoint stuff that you want about your business, actual help, make sure you're coming through and doing that. The reason that myself and Jan have been talking, and for anyone who gets stuck with any of this and wants some extra trainings, I've added a free mastermind at the top, which you can just jump on. Which really breaks down some of this into a little bit more of a finite level. And here's the big thing we've got when we're talking about objections. There's a massive problem that people have around objection handling. And the reason isn't objections, right? It is just not. The problem is we've all been in that scenario where some terrible salesperson, and I mean this, they're normally new at their job or they've been terribly trained, is just hammering us to try to get us to buy. And that's not what objection handling is about. Virtually every prospect, every potential buyer that we have will have some degree of an objection, a hurdle, a reason that they're hesitant about buying the product or service. I want you to remember this. For the vast majority of people out there, they are buying your product or service to do something that they can't do themselves. I want to say that again. The reason they're buying our product or service is for something that they can't necessarily do themselves, whether that's to get a better health, better wealth, better relationships. So they're coming into the unknown, and we're all great at talking about stepping outside of our comfort zone until we get outside of our comfort zone. And then we get a little bit, oh, this doesn't feel too good. Now, if you don't have some reservations about a solution's price, relevance to their situation or purchasing ability, they would have already have brought it. It's just that simple. If they were already that sold on your product or your service, a leaflet, a website would have already gone through it. So if it comes to a manual part where you're communicating with someone, the reason should be that you've come past a certain part of that stage where there's a level of interest, desire, but they're not quite at the stage of taking action. And it's a natural part of selling, but it can be a real significant roadblock that screws over a lot of people that are out there. What you want to do is learn how to discover what the actual objection is. That's a whole different conversation. And resolve the concerns that the person's actually got. When objections themselves actually rise, a lot of people freak out. A lot of people just go, okay, they're not ready to buy, I'm off. Now, that's not helping your customer. That's not helping your buyer. It's not helping someone that's out there. Now, there's a few parts of this which we've got to score off at the start. This is based on a couple of different parts that we're going to come into. But if you're in the process with someone who has showed interest, qualifies for being a buyer, could use your product or service, and then they're hitting a hurdle, that hurdle is very different than a roadblock. The whole idea behind this is to emphasize whether that's the product's value, whether it's understanding certain points. But what I want you to do to really reset our minds about objections, think about the job you do now. Think about your business right now. Not when you first set your business up, because when you set your business up, you were an expert. When you first walked into it. So I was talking to a guy the other day who's in insurance, and he says to me, it really drives me mad. I talk to people who've never bought insurance before, and it's just so obvious. I'm like, yes, it's obvious to you how long you've been doing your job. He's like 6 months. I mean, how many people do you talk to a day? He's like 20. I said, so for 6 months, you spoke 20 times a day about this exact subject with all the data, with all the training, with all the info. You're now talking to someone who's new, who's got all the doubts, all the concerns, and all the hesitations of a new buyer. They're not an expert. So let's just reset our minds a little bit. When we're talking to someone that's out there, we've got to, assess where those people are in the buying process. You might be asking for the order too early. That's where your resistance comes from. But if we've done our job in an effective way, when an objection comes in, we need to welcome them because it's clearly identifying exactly where that person is right now. And when you know someone's location, you can help them. When you understand where they are, you can help them. When you can move forward from this is where we're at, and here's the reason why. Imagine for the moment you're stuck in a desert, right? And you want me to come and rescue you. And you're like, I'm stuck. I can't get out of this. It's an objection. Now, if I don't know where you are, if I don't know your location, if I don't know what the problems are, I can't help you in the most effective way. So what we want to do today is unpack that. So let's start off with it. When we're looking at objections themselves, it's not the time to give up, right? It's a time to revisit points within the value proposition itself on how and when you handle different parts of an objection. And depending on where you are, depends on the methods and the conversation that you'll actually have. The idea is this: to alleviate their concerns with a more detailed explanation on a precise area within their concern. That might be increasing the level of clarity. That might be getting a better understanding on how it will work. It can be as simple as getting them to be able to articulate it better to their peers. The psychology of when we're talking about objections, and this is why you want them. Each person right now that is watching this, listening to this, hearing my voice, if I say something like car buying, we've all got a different level of experience, good or bad, high ticket, low ticket, been messed about, been screwed over, brought the best car in the world, brought the worst car in the world, got pitched really hard, did it face to face, did it on the phone. So every person's experience is completely different. Every single person has different restrictions mentally, different limiting beliefs, different concerns, different fears, different expectations, different experiences. Now imagine all of those different levels all on a score. You can't guess. There's no miracle cure that's going to appeal to every single person. So we've got to understand when that objection comes out, what are the potential things that they're actually saying? If someone turns around to you and says they've got no money. Now, if that's when they first met you, stop asking them for money. But if you've gone through it and they've shined a light, they need your product, they need your service, they see the value, and now they're saying they've got no money, is it the fact that they physically couldn't afford it? Is it the fact they don't have a budget lined up right now, but they do in a week? Is it the fact that they're concerned that if it doesn't work, that's the last money they've got? Are they concerned that they've screwed over things before and they haven't got money to waste? Have they been told by a superior, a boss, a partner, we're going to spend money on X, not on Y? So when we're talking about one simple objection, there's a huge amount of areas underneath that subcategory that really break it down. So when we break down all of those areas from experience and restrictions and concerns and past life experiences, and then we work out that everyone has different language that we use to explain things, we can't see objections as a hard stop. Now, when we're talking about an objection at this stage, this is someone who is a qualified prospect, someone who has shined an interest that wants your product. They've already probably come through a number of steps to get to this stage. We're not saying here, go up to someone and just hammer them and they say no. I say, buy this book. And they say no. And I say, you need to buy it. Like, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about having a conversation with someone around exactly what they need to do. There's an Oxford study, and I bring this up all the time. It's out of date now, and there's a reason why I still bring it up. And it's called the 873 rule. And it's 73% of buyers need clarification on 5 or more points before they are ready to buy. At this point, only 8% of the sales force, business owners, solopreneurs are still asking for the order. So I want you to visualize for a minute. Shut your eyes and think about the whole of the world. Now imagine all of your potential buyers lit up on that map. Now take 73% of them and turn them from a potential green light to a red light. That's how much you are alienating your audience, your potential buyers, if you do not handle objections. Now, you heard me say a minute ago, it's out of date. Now, this comes back from the 90s. Now, instead of now being 5 points, they often talk about as high as 16 touch points. That could be 16 objections, 16 follow-ups, 16 questions, 16 explanations. So if we want to sell to as many people as possible, if we're going to sell to the widest range of people out there, we've got to be prepared to go through the trenches with that person. Too many people are looking for a quick sale. But here's the big thing. If we know the vast majority of people are not effective at handling objections, if you've got a client that will stick around maybe on a subscription service, or they might pay you a retainer, if they're harder to close as a client, here's the good thing that you've got. It'll be far less likely that that person will go. The people that are really easy to sell to give up a lot quicker. They look across the fence and see the grass is greener, and they lose that value. When you're looking at your cost, value, life cost of a client, if that person is harder to get as a client, but not a pain as a person, like they genuinely have questions, hurdles, concerns, because they're thinking about it, the likelihood they'll stay with you for a longer period, therefore paying more money, is actually a lot higher. So what I want you to do is remember 4 simple things. When you're handling objections, stop resisting them and welcome them. Don't attack an objection. They're not there to be attacked. They're there to be utilized. It's a tool. No one cares, remember this one, no one cares that you've explained it to 1,000 people perfectly before. This is their first time. Treat them like that way. And when you first started, you didn't have a high level of clarity about what you sell. You didn't have as good an understanding of it you have right now. So what we want to do is think of it like this. What did come up? First, they might have interest in your product or service, but you have not shown a high enough level of clarity for them, not for you. If you're a heavy red personality and you self-actuate yourself onto products, but they're really analytical, their level of clarity, they need to go up on that 8K. They need to see it a little bit clearer to feel that comfort. So that'll flag up as an objection. If you're dealing with a heavy yellow personality, heavy relationship, their objection comes based on the way they feel. So their level of clarity is getting to know you a bit better, the business, the understanding that you're not just going to treat them like a number. But their same objection could come up. That could be a time delay. It could be money. It could be any objection. Because the vast majority of the time, people are not saying to you, how can I explain this most effective way for that person? All they are feeling inside themselves is uncertainty. And they label that uncertainty with the first thing that comes to their mind that's the most important. Oh, yeah, I don't have the money for that at the moment. Oh, yeah, we're going to wait a bit. It's not the right time. So their level of uncertainty comes out based on their personality. So it's your job as a professional to hear what they're saying, but also not to listen to what they're saying. And I want to clarify something. I'm not saying ignore them, but I don't want you to take things on face value. I want you to be a professional. I want you to understand that when someone goes to see the doctor with a certain pain, often it's the question the doctor asks, but we'll find out it's something completely different than they would first think. And if you're trying to develop great relationships with our clients, with our people, with our potential game-changing life that we want to develop, they deserve to have you at the best possible person, the highest level of professionalism out there. When people bring you into their business, say it's a high-ticket coaching client, that person is going to entrust me with changing what they have done to get to where they are right now. If you have a software, maybe it's a CRM, right? And they're going to change. They've got to go against everything that they made a buying decision on before to take you on. So let's think of it like this. We're not going to take any action right now. Could quite easily be We've spent 50 grand on this product. We've had it for 4 years. The team know how to use it. What happens if it doesn't work? It's bloody expensive. Is it going to be hard to work out? Is there going to be teething problems? All of these things go in one big flash fire moment. And then you go, oh, we're just going to wait. But imagine for the moment if you could climb inside their mind and those perspectives, those perceptions, you could professionally in an articulated way, a well-articulated way, explain that from their eyes so that they were reassured. Now, that level of clarity, that thing comes out. The next one comes out. And suddenly, now there's a level of clarity, but they're not thinking about what's going wrong. Now they're thinking about what's going right. So we want to really take the time to work out when people are talking to us, when they're throwing an objection. And I want to say this again. This isn't just when you're randomly talking to someone. This is after the stage where you're coming through. And we're going to go on to this in a second, where they are already qualified, shown an interest, they've got a desire, but they're just at the hurdle point at the end. When people are getting to the stage where they've got to hand the money over, a lot of that uncertainty will come up. And often it's not even about you or your product or service. And we're going to come on to that right now. There's different stages and there's different types of objections. And we're going to break these down. We haven't got a huge amount of time. So we're going to do this at ground zero. We're going to just hit this straight out at one level so you can get a better idea of this and you can delve deeper, or you can go to closedealstoday.com for a real in-depth version on one of these sections. It's free and it will give you a more rounded spectrum off the base of what we're saying here, but you can then go through and do. So I want you to think about the different stage of objections, but the different stages come from a different level of selling. So for example, imagine you're a cold caller, someone turning around and say, for example, you cold call people. You're outbound, you're phoning businesses, trying to get digital marketing, right? Some type of digital marketing service. When you phone that person, their level of objection is very much different than someone but you've just spent 45 minutes on a phone call with who's got a need, a desire, a want, but they got screwed over by the last guy. So what we've got to do is think about what are going to be the hurdles that come into their mind at that point, and what's going to be the way we go through it. I'll touch on a point here, and this is what a lot of people don't realize. When you get on a phone call, whether it's a planned phone call, a Zoom call, or face-to-face, or on a phone, that person, most of the time, isn't paying any attention to you for the first 8 seconds. They're still thinking about what was going on. Now, think about yourselves. Say I'm going into a board meeting. I'm extremely professional. So I know no one's ever done this, where you're walking literally to the corridor of that door and you're on your phone sending a WhatsApp to a client or your partner as you're walking down. And as you open that door, your brain is still a little bit involved in that. That's the same for everyone that's out there. But imagine when someone picks up their phone and they pick it up and they're in the middle of their workday. You are disturbing that person. So their knee-jerk reaction is automatically going to be, yeah, we're busy at the moment, don't have any money, don't have an idea, don't need this, don't need that. So you've got to get really effective. But if I've only got a 5-second window, but when that objection comes in, it's not an objection that you're trying to handle because you haven't said anything to tell them right now whether they need money. You haven't told them a price. So if someone says money, you know it's not that. They're too busy. They don't have time. They're not interested. So you've got to really pinpoint. If you're in a cold calling stage, what is my intention for that call? I have to, 1, expect objections. 2, I have to understand from their point of view that when I get that objection, how can I make myself valuable in literally a few seconds? So instead of handling an objection, then you're simply welcoming an objection, and then you're giving the reason why you called, and it's got to be a really big, juicy steak-like hook that's going to really make them go, oh, yeah, that could be of interest. Send me an email, whatever it is, because now you're back to that next stage. So that's where most people get caught up with. This is where most people have been offended in their life in objections. You walk into a showroom, you walk into a shop, you get a phone call, you get whatever it might be. That's where we normally get offended because they're normally terrible people that haven't been trained right. So now I want you to think about the next stage. So let's zoom forward a bit more and imagine for the moment a leader's come into your database and you're on a qualifying call. At this stage, for a phone call, whether that's business to business or business to consumer, it makes no difference. At that stage, this is where you will get a huge amount of your clients, or sorry, your leads, that you will take out, which will not be suitable. This is one of the main fallout points, and there's a reason why. Some people, service-based, you don't want to deal with. Other people are going to be tire kicking, for want of a better word, and then you're going to have people in there that are also going to be potential clients, but are going to be nervous and they don't want to get pitched. So at this stage, every single time that you're getting an objection, whether that's not interested, no money, can't afford it, you have to change the way you talk. And at this stage, we have to have something which is effective to say, is short, but then the key part of the objection handling at this stage is what you ask at the end to find out, is this person actually not suitable for us? Or is this just a barrier which they've got up because they're being protective, which is fine. So when we're talking at this stage now, what we want to assess, what we want to work out, and what we've got to be really, really clear with is when we're going through at the qualifying stage, what is my intention and what do I expect? So think of it like this. What is my ideal qualified lead? So do I know what their budget is? Do I know 3 of their pain points? Is this person a sole or joint decision maker? Are they looking to take action potentially in the next week, 2 months, whatever it might be? And then what we're going to do is base our questions around them. And in the qualifying stage, you want them to bring out their objections to you. The whole idea behind the objections in a qualifying stage is you want to lose some people, not in a cocky and an arrogant way. Just be clear. You want to stay professional, but you want to say things that's going to identify whether you want to work with that person or not. And if you aren't prepared to ask for hard questions, you will end up with the wrong prospects. When we try and sell to everyone that's out there, we will typically end up selling to no one. So if you're at a stage that you're getting feast and famine, that's because you're bringing the wrong leads through, and that's not going to help you. Right, I know we've been talking